Some things need to be healed in community, and we offer you something unparalleled with the Condor Approach Live. We're going to talk about how to prepare for, navigate, and integrate your psychedelic experiences for yourself or those that you love. These live events are catalysts. They really allow you to uncover and unleash the potential that you already have within you. When you're surrounded by like-minded people who are walking the walk and are committed to the path, you may even find your next facilitator or coach, but this event is designed to foster genuine relationships, give you community that supports and uplifts you, wants to see you win. If you've been wanting to embody this understanding and take these skills to a new level, then a live dynamic environment is just the way. You can go to thecondorapproach.com. That is thecondorapproach.com, and we will see you in February.
Whether you're a life coach, therapist, biohacker, invested in wellness, or in the healthcare profession, if you have an intention to work in psychedelic spaces, you're in the right place then. If you're called, get involved. But first, get informed. Let's talk the 4 N's: intake, intention, in-space integration, leading to deeper transformations. Psychedelic Coach Podcast, Todd Cole. Walk you through the process, it's all possible. Leave space for the follow-through. Most importantly, integration is not optional.
My name is Todd Whitty. I am a registered nurse of 31 years. I am also the co-founder of the Condor Approach. We support people in the Condor Approach in creating a system of being in support in your psychedelic experiences, before your experience, during your experience, and after an experience. We help you to make an amazing transformational space with meaning and safety. And I was a registered nurse for 31 years, and I had my first psychedelic experience at around age 41, right? I had my first psychedelic experience, and it was challenging for me because I had all of this expansion and I did not know what to do with it. And then I went back to the work that I was doing at the hospital, and the people were telling me, what are you talking about? What's all this new stuff? I didn't have support there. And then I talked to my family members. I didn't have support there. I talked to my friends that I was doing hip hop music with, didn't have support there, and had all these things in the way. And so what I'd started to do was retreat back to the way I was. And I started to iron those habits in even deeper. And that's when I reached out for help, and I asked Cole for help because I had no idea what to do about psychedelics or how to navigate those spaces. And it was very challenging for me. And so if this is something that you've experienced, you're not on your own with that. Okay. You're not alone. This is not a place that you need to be by yourself. And this is why we're doing this masterclass today. So we always do an intake when we work in the Condor Approach or in Masterclass Mondays. We have what we call the 4 Ns process: intake, intention, in space, and integration. And right now, what I'd like to do is an intake. An intake is an inventory. And first of all, I want to ask you, do you even want to grow? Now, there are many people who go to psychedelic experiences because they want to change, because they want to see something different, but they may not want to grow. And so the question is, do you want to grow? Because psychedelics are going to influence you to grow, whether you like it or not. And there are lots of different ways to grow, and we're going to talk about that. So my question for you, and I'd like you to pop this in the comments or in the chat, is how do you want to grow? I know I want to grow in lots of exponential ways. Great question, Dice. Yeah, it is a great question. Yeah, so Sincere says, I want to grow. How do you want to grow? What do you want to grow? Do you want to grow in your family? Do you want to grow in your business? Do you want to grow your knowledge of life? What does that look like for you? So the next question is, do you want your growth to last? And if you want your growth to last, if you want it to be ongoing, not to come to a halt or backpedal, do you want that to last? If you want that to last, pop a 1 in the chat. The next phase is intention, right? Intake, intention, right? So we've done a little bit of an intake. Do you want to grow? What is growing to you? How do you want that growth to look? And do you want it to last? And now that you've done an inventory in yourself, my thing is, what is your intention? And that's, what do you want to know, do, be, or understand? And our intention for this, and what you need, and what you could expect for this class today, is 3 things. What types of growth there are, right? What types of growth you can have with psychedelics as a catalyst for change in your life. 2, what are the blocks to growth? What kind of blocks to growth can appear with psychedelic experiences? And the third thing is lasting growth, right? What can you do to create lasting growth in your life from your psychedelic experience? And we're going to use a concept called the roadmap to intimacy to show you how to actually lean into creating a space for you to have lasting growth with your psychedelic experiences. Let's get into the space of teaching you this. Okay. So this is the third phase in space, right? Intake, intention, in space. And so, number 1, how can you grow after a psychedelic experience? Now, I hear this all the time, especially with people who are going into psychedelic experiences as newbies. What can I expect? How am I going to change? I had one person say to me, I hear psychedelics are great, but I don't want to stop wanting to operate my business. And the person thought that they would grow past operating their business. And this is a fear for a lot of people. How do you grow? Can you grow into a space that stops you from being where you were before? And the answer is probably yes. You can grow more safe. And safety for us at the Condor Approach and Masterclass Mondays, we talk about safety as freedom from hurt, harm, loss, deficit, injury, death, and pain. And so when you're growing more safe, you can get yourself into a space where you can move away from the things that have hurt you, have harmed you, gave you a perception of loss, or are giving you a perception of loss, deficit. There are people who have had positions where their injuries actually started to heal up because their bodies and their thought processes changed around the injury. And so this moves you into a space of being able to move beyond that, right? You can grow in that space. You can avoid death and pain. So more safety you can grow into. You can grow more connected. You can strengthen your relationships with your others, deepen your sense of community. You can grow more fulfilled, meaning the purpose in your life, the activities that you do, the places that you go, all of the things support you in feeling fulfilled. And we talk about the 3 points of E: safety, connection, and fulfillment. And those are things that you can grow in with psychedelic experiences. You can grow to be more open. You can embrace new perspectives, personal growth. You can embrace the growth of other people, the changes of other people. You can also be open to people being the way they are and just letting them stay there. You can stay exactly where you are. I'm still open to you being that way, and I don't have to take on your stuff. That's a really important space for me. I know in my psychedelic experiences, a huge part was that I was closed. I was lying about everything, and I was closed to people knowing who I was closed to people knowing about the things that I did that I considered heinous or negative or bad, right? I was close to that. And so as I got more open, I started to be able to welcome people in who could actually navigate those spaces with me and who actually shared very similar experiences. And so now I have a new group of people, a new community of people that I can actually relate to in ways that I never had possibility before. More aware, right? We can grow into a space where we are more aware. We have mindfulness that is unlike anything that we've had in the past. And that's because when we deactivate what we call the default mode network in the brain, we can actually see things from kind of a different vantage point. It's like looking at things from a different angle or like a horse with blinders. You have blinders on and you can only see straight ahead. And when you take the blinders off, you have more perspective. And so psychedelics can provide more growth in those spaces, more patience. People who are rushing past things, who are not process oriented, who are definitely only destination people and outcome people, have expanded into spaces where they become more patient, not only with themselves, but the people around them, the circumstances in life, everything that goes on in society. We can grow into spaces where we are more creative. And this is one of the things that psychedelics is such an asset with, is being able to grow in creativity. People, they're artists, their artistry comes out. They've always been an artist, but their artistry now comes out, and how they create in conversation comes out. How they create in relation to other people comes out. So we can grow in being more creative. What other ways do you think, or have you grown in psychedelic experience? I'd love to see it in the chat or in the comments. If you've grown from your psychedelic experiences, how have you grown? Okay, how have you grown? I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to see it in the chat. How have you grown in psychedelics? And how would you want to grow? Yeah, relationships, partnerships, business, health, wealth. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. When we do the work, growth happens. That's right, y'all. Thank you for sharing. And this is something that I want you to think about. And I want you to take your time and write this down. How have you grown? And how do you think you can grow with psychedelics? What other ways do you think that this can happen? And this can be something you build into your intentions moving forward, and you can support other people in those spaces. Number 2, what can get in the way of growth after a psychedelic experience? This is something that I was never told. I was never told this from the gate. What could get in the way of my growth, right? What, after I have this transformational experience, I didn't know what I was going for. Right? I had no idea what I was doing. Cole just was like, look, I know this can change your life. And, and that's all I had to go off of. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't know to ask any questions of Cole or the facilitators. And I just went in, and everything changed in that one night. Everything in my life changed, and I didn't know what could get in the way. And so we're going to talk about that for a moment. So not having a plan and a process can get in the way of your growth. Not having a plan, and this is why we do this with the Condor approach. And people will say all the time, man, people have been doing psychedelics for thousands of years and they didn't have a plan and they didn't have a process. My question is, how do you know? And that's fine if we were living out in the bush, but now we have technology, we have computers, we have careers, we have all these businesses. And we have to plan around everything that's going on. And we also have a lot of people that are not exploring in psychedelics. And so having a plan and a process is extremely important. And that's what we provide at the Condor approach. And and I invite you, if you haven't signed up for the Condor approach, to go sign up right now for the Condor approach, because we teach you how to have a plan and a process for your psychedelic experiences. And I'll talk more about that a little later. Another thing, a return to an environment that is disagreeable to change. Okay. If you have an expansive experience and you come back a different person and you go back to the same situation that you were in before, that can halt your progress moving forward, because you want to grow, but the old environment is pulling you back, pulling you back. It's pulling you back. It's pulling you back. It's pulling you back. It's almost like there are hooks in you that stop you from going forward. And these are what we call constructs, right? Our race, religion, gender, ethnicity, our families, our careers, all of these things can pull us back into old ways of being. So if the environment is disagreeable, it can be a challenge. Romantic partners and lovers can be a blockade. If I go in and I now have new ideas and new feelings and new sensations about how I want to interact in the world, or even in my primary relationship, it can be a thing. And if I still have a lot of guilt and shame that's woven into my being, it can actually pull me back from growing. And that can be a big challenge for a lot of people. I know it was for me. I grew really quickly. And Cole told me, she's like, man, I've never seen anybody grow as fast as you grew with psychedelics. And I grew a lot. But I also had partners and people from the past and stuff that I was afraid to leave and afraid to walk away from. It was challenging. Family. This is the humdinger, y'all. Family will pull you back. And if your family is not experiencing the growth that you're experiencing, the family structures that we have in the world are built on very fundamental traditions. And these traditions are built to protect the family structure, not necessarily the individuals in the family structure. And so if the family structure is disrupted, the family structure will fight for you to come back. And so it can get in the way of your growth. There can be shaming, there can be guilting, there can be all sorts of things that pull you back into the old structure and the old ways. So that's a blockade. Friends can get in the way, all right? Man, what are you doing? You doing psychedelics? For me, I told Cole when she introduced me the idea of psychedelics to me, oh, you want me to do drugs with some hippie white people? And I was like, I'm not doing that, right? And so all of that pressure that I had around like being away from my friends or being different or anything like that was challenging. And so friends can get in the way of your situation. Not that they mean to get in the way of it, but they can. Right? Colleagues, people that you work with. This is one of the things that happened to me in nursing is people started to see me being different. And they were like, and I was telling them, look, I'm going to go start a business. I'm going to leave here. I'm going to do this. And they were like, oh, you're crazy. You need to just stay here in the system. The system will keep you safe. And this is what you've been doing for so long. How could you walk away from the system? And so my colleagues were actually pulling me back. They were actually getting in the way of me moving forward because I started to have doubts about myself. And that was an issue for me. A lot of doubts from colleagues. So that was a thing, y'all. Constructs, right? And we talked about this when we were talking about family and stuff. Belief structures, systems, nationalities, nations, all of these things are constructs. These are structures that we live within, right? Religions are structures. And when we're in these structures and the structure gets threatened, it will pull us back. So constructs can get in the way. Nice deep breath. Those are a few of the things that can get in the way. I'd love to hear from y'all in the chat or in the comments. What do you think can get in the way of your growth after a psychedelic experience? What can you do to assure that your growth continues and is maximized? What can you do to assure that your growth continues and it's maximized? We have a concept called the roadmap to intimacy that I came up with to explain intimacy, getting intimate with knowing what growth is for you, what kind of growth you want to have, and the things that are in the way is actually starting to become intimate. And for us at the Condor Approach, intimacy is a deep, intricate connection, okay? Intimacy for us at the Condor Approach is a deep, intricate connection. That's what it is. And so we have surface level connection. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm good. Okay, see you later. That's connection, right? That's a little bit of a connection, surface level. But then it's, hey, would you be able to share with me the most awesome part of your day? Let me think about that. When I woke up this morning, I got up and my dog came and kissed me in my face. And I rolled over and my wife, she kissed me and she told me that she loved me more than she loved anyone in the world. Now that conversation starts to get deep and we start to get woven and we start to get intimate. We start to get intricate with the information. And this can be information that we move back and forth, talking, writing, or touching, right? Touching is also an intimate space. And so when I can shake somebody's hand, I can high five somebody, right? And I can shake somebody's hand, then I can interlock fingers with somebody or embrace them. There's different levels of intimacy. We get deeper as we move further down the line. And so when you are understanding what your growth is, getting intimate with your growth is tremendously important. And so the roadmap to intimacy is here. It's 6 parts, and it starts off with tolerance, moves to acceptance, then moves to safety, then vulnerability, then connection, and that's where we find intimacy. And we teach this at the Condor Approach. And this is a very involved situation. It was a 90-minute course that I taught at the Tantra Festival. The roadmap to intimacy, I have a 90-minute class on it in the Condor Approach portal. This is something we teach at the Condor Approach. So right now, I'm going to give you a taste of it. I wish I could give you the whole thing in a 30-minute block. This is what I'm giving you. I'm going to offer this to you right now. And I want you to write this down. The first part is tolerance. To tolerate yourself in a physical space, to be able to tolerate yourself in a situation allows you to move to the next step. And when I say tolerate, I always compare this to jumping in a lake, right? The first time you jump into a lake, if it's cold, you have to be able to tolerate it or you'll jump out of the water, right? And so the ice baths, stuff like that, you jump in, you have to be able to tolerate it. Once you can tolerate it and you can stay in it, you can accept the situation. And as you accept the situation, your perception opens up, okay? So acceptance is the second part. I tolerate it. I'm able to tolerate it. I'm not running from it. I'm not jumping out of the water. I can tolerate it. Okay. And this doesn't mean it's good or bad. It means I'm tolerating it. I move into the acceptance space. This is where I accept my position. I accept where I am. Okay. This is what's happening. I'm in the water. I'm able to move around. I'm not sinking. I can move my feet this way. Right. Then I survey for safety. The third part, safety. Am I free from hurt, harm, loss, deficit, injury, death, pain? Right now. Okay. Safety is a very moment of now thing. Am I safe right now? Okay. And so tolerance first, acceptance, and safety. Am I safe? Is there a threat around me? Can I open up? If I open up to explore, I'm in the water. I'm opening up to allow myself to feel the water, right? So now I'm allowing something in. I'm allowing myself to feel the water against my body. And I'm also pushing out against the water. I'm exploring. And so I'm giving the water my feedback. The water is giving me its feedback. And so we have this back and forth connection together. Me and the water. I'm treading the water. I'm moving with the water. I'm now connecting with the water. And now that I'm in this space where I know that I'm not dying, I'm knowing that I'm not getting hurt, I'm open enough to communicate with the water and push the water. And as I push the water, I come up. And as I relax in the water, I sink down. As I push the water, I come up. As I relax in the water, I come down. Wait a minute. I have this connection going on. And now I start to move my arms in different ways and my body in different ways. And the next thing you know, I'm intricate with the water and I'm in an intimate space with the water. This is the roadmap to intimacy. You can apply this to anything. And when you apply this to your process after your psychedelic experiences, you start to get very intimate with the nuances and the big sensations, big feelings, the big things that are going on all at the same time. And so after your psychedelic experience, you feel all this newness. Are you able to tolerate the newness or do you block it away? Oh my gosh, I have all this joy in my heart. I haven't had joy in my heart ever before. And now I have joy. Can I tolerate that or do I need to block it away? I can tolerate it. All right, cool. I'm in joy. All right, now I accept it. I'm in joy. Here I am. Is joy threatening for me? Is joy threatening to my environment? Are the people in my life going to reject me because I'm joyful now? What are you so happy about, right? Is it safe for me to be in my joy? Once I'm in my joy and I know that I'm safe in it, I can open up and I can say, hey, I feel joyful, right? I open up and I let that out. And I also let joy in. And I let other people's perception of me in. Man, this is different. But you're new. I'm used to you being a curmudgeon all the time and Mr. Mean person. I don't understand. And so you let the information in about your joy and then you process it and you reflect back out. I'm doing some changes in my life. I have some things going on. Would you like to hear more about it? The person says, yeah. And then they have surface level information. And then you start to get deeper in the conversation. Maybe the person will accept you. Maybe they'll walk away, but you know how to interact with your growth at that space. And this is the creation of intimacy. And so intimacy with your process of growth is tremendously important. And this is one of the reasons why I created this roadmap, is so that people can start to understand that intimacy is not just about sex. It's not just about being in a committed relationship with somebody. It's about becoming intricate with what's going on with you inside and outside. Okay? And take a deep breath. Yeah. And if this taste has been great for you, I want you to come to the Condor approach where we have the time to sit and talk about this. And you have the time to reflect on this with the other people at the Condor approach. The next Condor approach is February 22nd, the 23rd to the 24th. Okay, it's 3 days. Come out and join us in Austin, Texas. And we're going to talk about the roadmap to intimacy with a lot of other things. Now, what else can you do to support your growth? Okay. The other thing, so you can use the roadmap to intimacy. You can vet and get to know your psychedelic and get to know with typos, right? I didn't get intimate with this slide. We can vet and get to know your psychedelic facilitator. You can use the roadmap to intimacy. Now, many times I tell people, listen, if you can't tolerate yourself with a facilitator, my invitation is to not move forward, because if you can't physically tolerate yourself with a person, your body may have a hard time accepting it. And if you're not safe, you're not going to get to open up. And so if they have to give you more and more psychedelics to crack you open, that is actually a traumatic space for people, right? My space and my experience has been, let psychedelics open you up, and you open up with psychedelics, right? You want to be able to get intimate with the psychedelics, not get cracked open. That's my vantage point. Now, some people go for the cracked open situation. If that's what you want, then flow with that. But when people don't know their facilitator and they haven't had an opportunity to get intricate and ask questions about where the facilitator was, things can tend to be very challenging. And this is where I've found that people have had what they will call bad trips or challenging trips and stuff like that. So getting to know your facilitator is tremendously important, and being able to vet that person. And we do have tools for that at the Condor approach as well. I'm not going to get into it. That's another class, and that's the Condor approach. Come to the Condor approach. We've got tools galore for you. Have a process, y'all. In order to grow with the most potential, have a process for integrating your psychedelic experiences. And this is what we talked about earlier with the 4 Ns process, is create a process, create a solid process, and have reliable resources before, during, and after every psychedelic or plant or animal medicine experience. Okay. That includes any kind of spirit molecules, that includes chemical recreations of plant substances and animal substances, bufo, ayahuasca, San Pedro, MDMA, MDA, 2CB, LSD, all of these things. Create a solid process and have reliable sources. And this is what the Condor approach offers. So I want you to think about this. If you're having psychedelic experiences and you've had challenges, come to the Condor approach. Okay. We have a process we call the 4 Ins. I said this at the beginning and I'll say it again as a quick recap. There's an intake, which is an inventory of yourself, an intention setting situation. What do you want to know, do, be, or understand from your process? And integration, which is bringing everything together that you got from the intake, how you crafted your intention, what you brought back from being in space of transformation or growth or coaching or Masterclass Mondays, and how do you integrate this in this new information with your day-to-day life? How do you do that? 4 Ins process. It's flawless. And if you want it to last, are you coming to the Condor approach? That's my next question. Come to the Condor approach. Come join us live at the Condor approach, February 22nd to the 24th in Austin, Texas. Cole is going to drop a link in the chat for people to sign up for the Condor approach. I want you to come. And if you're not coming, I want to know why. What's keeping you on the fence? And if you're having challenges with making a decision, I want you to hop on a call with me. I'm going to pop a link in the chat for you to hop on a call with me today so we can talk about it, so I can get you some clarity on if the Condor approach is for you or not. And I can guarantee you that it is for you, whether you're in psychedelics or not. So let's recap. We talked about the ways you can grow after a psychedelic experience. We talked about what can get in the way of growth after a psychedelic experience and what you can do to assure that your growth continues by your design, using the roadmap to intimacy, vetting your facilitator, and having a solid process for integration. Thank you so much, everybody. Every Monday, me and Cole are doing Q&As afterwards. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming intimate with what's going on with you. My name is Todd Whitty, and I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to speaking to you on the call or seeing you at the next Masterclass Mondays. Next week, Cole is going to be talking about AI and bridging AI with psychedelics. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. I love you. I appreciate you. Have an amazing, fantastic, stupendous, and miraculous day. It is Q&A time, and I'll catch the people on Facebook later. Peace, Sourcey Poo.
Integration is not optional.